What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you are new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the brand new 2025 Toyota Camry, courtesy of Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So this is the start of the 9th generation Camry. Plenty of changes for the 2025 model year, including the fact that the Camry now only comes as a hybrid, which, let me tell you guys, is a very good thing because this hybrid powertrain is known for absolutely incredible reliability. It's been proven already. So, and of course you also get the 2 years or 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance that you get with all Toyotas these days. So that's always nice as well. But ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. As you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2025 Camry. You got the LE starting at $28,400, SE starting at $30,700, XLE for $33,400, and lastly the XSE starting at $34,600. That was all pricing for the front wheel drive configuration. If you wanted to add all-wheel drive, you can do that. Simply add $1,525 then to any of those prices. By the way, we do have the SE all-wheel drive in case you guys are curious, but like I said, power plant is going to be the same across the board. Powering the new Camry is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder with either 2 or 3 electric motors. 2 electric motors for the front wheel drive, 3 electric motors powering the all-wheel drive. Of course, powering the additional 2 wheels in the back is that extra electric motor, but putting out a combined 225 horsepower for the front wheel drive, 232 horsepower then for the all-wheel drive, 163 pound-feet of torque, power sent to front wheels or all wheels through an eCVT, 0 to 60 time coming in at approximately 7.4-ish seconds. With MPG numbers, get ready, this is the best part. 53 in the city, 50 on the highway for the front wheel drive LE, 48 in the city, 47 on the highway for the front wheel drive configurations, and then the all-wheel drive that we have today, still an extremely impressive 44 in the city, 43 on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel. You gotta love all that. But said that before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in our Camry, I wanted to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's a series of buttons located essentially directly behind the shifter. Drive modes will include Eco, Normal, Sport, and EV, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity. And by the way, I did want to also mention to you guys, we do have paddle shifters, of course. This is paired with an eCVT, so I'm curious what they're going to be like. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and test out the paddle shifters and acceleration here. I want to see if the paddle shifters are kind of just a gimmick since this is an eCVT. And let's also see how quickly we can get our new 2025 Camry here up to speed. All right, we are in full manual shift mode here in 3, 2, 1, go. This is quick. Paddle shifters are a gimmick, but this thing is quick, dude. That was nice. That felt good, and there was instant acceleration too. There wasn't any kind of delay because this isn't a turbocharged engine. Thank God it's not, because that would of course decrease the reliability, but that was instantaneous thanks to the hybrid powertrain, and that was a pretty darn good acceleration too for pretty much merging you onto any highway here in the US. So that will certainly get the job done. I got nothing bad to say about that acceleration, but to go along with that acceleration, as always though, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 12-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 11.1-inch solid rear discs. As far as that braking feel goes, it's on the softer side of things, 100%. Wouldn't have minded a little bit firmer of a braking feel, but having said that, this isn't a sports car. It doesn't have to be any crazy firm braking feel, but it is definitely on the softer side, so I'll just put it that way. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front, you're gonna get an independent McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars, but the suspension is actually different dependent upon the trim level that you go with. For example, if you were to go with the SE or the XSE trims, so we have the SE today, that actually gives you sport tune shock absorbers and springs. So that's pretty crazy because, believe it or not, this has been an incredibly smooth ride on my short little test drive here today. And typically, if you get that sport tuned suspension, you're gonna feel a little bit more of the road. So for that reason, I can imagine that the LE and the XLE trims are gonna be a little bit smoother of a drive. But having said that, again, this is an incredibly smooth drive, like much smoother than a lot of the other vehicles in its class that I'm used to driving, even on our SE trim that we have today. So again, nothing bad to say about that. What's really impressive though is the lack of cabin noise. This is an incredibly serene cabin here in the Camry. So one of the first things I noticed when I first started driving this one, because it's a hybrid powertrain, it's just incredibly quiet, especially at lower speeds, like in a parking lot. But to go along with that, also playing a part, an acoustic laminated front windshield does come standard. That doesn't always come standard, so I want to emphasize that. And if you were to go with the XLE or XSE, you are going to get the most serene cabin, because that also gives you an acoustic laminated front door glass as well. That is usually an optional luxury feature on like Mercedes-Benz and BMW. So the fact that you can get that on the XLE and XSE of the Camry, that's pretty darn impressive, because that's going to give you a luxury like cabin noise, or lack thereof, I should say. But you guys get what I'm saying. As far as steering feel goes, it's super loosey-goosey. I'm in normal driving mode here. Let me see if it changes. 100% noticeable difference there. A much heavier weight to the steering when you put it in that sport driving mode, but just an incredibly loose steering feel when it is not in that sport driving mode. So I'll say that. I prefer that heavier steering feel. It is so loosey-goosey if it is not there though. But then touching on rear visibility, it's 100% on point. You're absolutely not going to have any issues with rear visibility in the new Camry here. Did want to also mention that there's a couple options here I wanted to mention. Rain sensing windshield wipers are optional on the XLE trim level, so it's going to detect any kind of mist or rainfall. It's going to automatically turn on those windshield wipers for you, kind of like automatic headlights. So assisting with forward visibility there. Also assisting with forward visibility though, there is going to be a head-up display that is optional on the XLE and XSE. That's going to project your speed limit and safety features up onto your windshield. Again, keeping your eyes on the road there. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2025 Toyota Camry. All right, and here she is, you guys, the new 2025 Toyota Camry, finished in supersonic red, in case you were curious of the exact exterior color name that we had on this one. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the new Camry is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 4, indicating that the new Camry is built and assembled here in the US, specifically Kentucky, in case you were curious about that. But starting up front, again, redesigned for 2025. You have new grille options. Looks kind of Lexus-like, actually, in my opinion. I like it. You got the horizontal bar theme for the LE and the XLE trim levels, but then a different style front grille for the SE and XSE, more of a mesh style front grille. That, of course, is what you guys are looking at right now. So a little bit of a difference there. Full LED projector headlights, though, do come standard for all trims across the board. Yes, that means both low and high beam. You gotta love that. With LED daytime running lights, you get the automatic feature. You also get automatic high beams as well. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up the high beams for you there. So gotta love that. And I think my favorite element to the SE and XSE trim levels is this kind of like front splitter to the side there. It's kind of like an aerodynamic feature or accent there. I think that looks dang good, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of the completely redesigned 2025 Camry in the comments. I always like reading your comments, but let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, let me first start with the window surrounds. They're either going to be finished in black or chrome, depending upon the trim level that you go with. You guys could probably guess what that is going to be, the SE versus the LE, basically. But body color power adjustable side mirrors do come standard. They will actually be heated with LED integrated turn signals then as well. Gotta love that. Then taking a look down at the wheel setup, they are going to differ for every single trim level across the board. Yes, each trim is going to get their own set of wheels. Kind of interesting there. 16-inch 10-spoke alloys for the LE, 18-inch black alloys for the SE, 18-inch machine finished alloys for the XLE, and then 19-inch black alloys for the XSE. I told you guys, this is a different wheel setup for every trim. That's crazy, but the side profile looks pretty similar to the last generation, but it's really the front end and the back end that has changed. So having said that, let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so here it is. Here is that new look on the back end for 2025. Let's go ahead and start all the way to the top though. Body colored shark fin antenna as expected there. You do have a rear spoiler for the SE and XSE trim levels, so that is what that looks like in case you were curious. LED taillights do come standard, and again, they are redesigned for 2025. You got that C-shape action going on there. You also have the hybrid badging. It's kind of a new style. It stands for hybrid electric vehicle. And again, all-wheel drive is available. We got the all-wheel drive with us here today, so maybe that's why there was no spinning on that acceleration test. It was all grip. You gotta love it. But body colored rear diffuser coming standard, or matte black rear diffuser, really dependent upon the trim level that you go with there. But there is a single exhaust coming on all trim levels across the board, but with the SE and XSE trims, you're going to get dual chrome tips like you guys are looking at right now. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Camry, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, there is a button on the key fob, but there is kind of a hidden rubberized button on the trunk itself. It's kind of right underneath of the Y in the Camry lettering spelled out on the back there. But anyways, once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 15.1 cubic feet if that was not enough space. Of course, the rear seats do fold down for quite a bit of extra space then if you needed it, but there is a lot going on in the cargo area. For one, you have LED cargo lighting, so I was 100% a huge fan of that. You also have some tie-down anchors back there. There are grocery bag hooks actually on both sides I was able to find as well. And my favorite part, when you lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you will find an actual spare tire as opposed to the fix-a-flat stuff. So huge fan of that as well. But then making our way up to the rear legroom, that comes in at a very respectable 38 inches even. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the back there. Rear center armrest with cup holders does come standard. Rear USB charging ports for 2 different USB charging ports. You gotta love that as well. And rear ventilation also back there. So pretty much the rear passengers, they did that perfect for the rear passengers. I can't ask for anything more than that personally. I don't expect heated rear seats in a car like the Camry, so we're good to go there. Then making our way up to the front seats, fabric trim seats coming with the LE, Softex upholstery for the SE, that's what you guys are looking at. Leather seating for the XLE and XSE trims, heated front seats for the XLE and XSE as well. Ventilated front seats are gonna be optional for those 2 trims, but it doesn't come standard. Manually adjustable front seats for the LE, but all other trim levels are gonna get a power driver's seat with power lumbar. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, it was okay. It's not bad. Not the very most comfortable seats like Lexus F Sport seats, but it's pretty darn good. I didn't have any issues in my short little test drive today. But then taking a look at the steering wheel, it is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped for all trim levels but the LE actually, and then heated for the XLE and XSE trims. And the leather wrap steering wheel, it's kind of like a different texture than I'm used to for leather wrap steering wheels, which I kind of like. So, but now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key. You got your Camry lettering on the one side. When you flip it over, lock, unlock, that button to pop the trunk and the Toyota logo, of course, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that black engine start button located just by the driver's right knee. And so once started up, gauge cluster is going to differ dependent upon the trim level that you go with. Yet again, you're going to find a 7-inch digital screen front and center for the LE and XE trim levels, but then a 12.3-inch fully digital gauge cluster for the XLE and XSE. So you're looking at the 7-inch right now, but still, it's plenty of information. It has everything that you need. It has your fuel information to your right, along with how many miles you have left until you hit empty. Has your engine temp all the way to the left, and of course, everything else is located front and center. And by the way, when you change the drive mode, it does adjust the color slightly. Not huge adjustments, just little color adjustments, like Eco is gonna be green, Sport's gonna be red, Normal's actually blue. So of course, you got the steering wheel mounted controls found on the left side of the steering wheel to adjust what is actually on that digital screen as well. So you can pretty much put whatever you want up there. So Gotta love that. But then making our way to overall interior quality, let me start by saying a panoramic glass roof is going to be optional, but we got the panoramic sunroof though with us here today, so I was a big fan of that. LED interior lighting for the XLE and XSE trim levels. Going to find aluminum pedals for the SE and XSE, so I wanted to show that to you guys. Wireless phone charger actually comes standard for all trim levels across the board. I love that. Dual zone climate control, once again, for all trim levels across the board, so both driver and passenger can set their own temperatures there. But I really like what Toyota did with the interior of the new Camry. They definitely put a little more work, a little more attention to detail in this next generation here. And the reason why I say that is just like the finishes found on the doors as well as just above the passenger side glove box here, it's a texturized finish. It feels like a texturized cloth finish, but I really like that. Also, there's these kind of texturized finishes to the climate control vents up here as well, which I know was not on the previous generation. So they put a little more detail into that. Even with continuing kind of the air vent look above the passenger side glove box with these gloss black finishes kind of meshing in together to the infotainment screen, all of that is very well thought out. And of course, like I said, you got the aluminum foot pedals down there as well. So I think they actually did a really good job for what this vehicle is. It's not a luxury vehicle, but they did pay a decent amount of attention to the finishes. I also have HomeLink controls here I'm seeing for up to 3 different garage doors found at the bottom portion of that rear view mirror. So huge fan of that as well. So I think Toyota did pretty darn good with this one. I got no complaints here, but let's now go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen because again, it's going to differ. So 8-inch color touchscreen display coming on the LE and SE trims, but there is a 12.3-inch color touchscreen display coming on the XLE and XSE, optional then for the SE that we have today. We got that option, so I had to mention it. But Bluetooth and audio streaming, of course, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. And by the way, that is wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay for all trim levels, so you gotta love that. Of course, you have a bunch of your car statistics up there you can check out if you wanted to. You got some climate control information as well, along with your radio information, of course. And so when it comes to the sound system, it's one of them, but then there's an optional one as well. So you get 6 speakers coming standard for all trim levels across the board. But there is a 9-speaker JBL sound system that is optional on the XLE and XSE trim levels. So we unfortunately don't have that JBL with us here today. We do have the 6-speaker sound system. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. That's actually really, really good for a 6-speaker sound system. I would even say that's probably the best 6-speaker sound system that I have heard. Like, that's really darn good. I don't actually have any issues with that. Like, Toyota is crushing it with the new Camry so far. So, oh my gosh. Anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the Camry in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. Panoramic view monitor is going to be optional, but it doesn't come standard on any particular trim level. But as always, that is going to lead us into safety. And so the previous generation Camry was an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, so chances are this one is probably going to be the same, but it hasn't been rated yet, so I couldn't really tell you one way or another. But front side curtain airbags do come standard, driver and passenger knee airbags as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. That gives you a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, dynamic radar cruise control, lane departure alert with steering assist, lane trace assist, road sign assist, and proactive driving assist then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Camry, incredible miles per gallon. That's the first thing I want to say. The fact that you can get now over 40 miles per gallon in an all-wheel drive vehicle is just absolutely insane, with no range worry either, because it's a hybrid. It's not a full EV. So we're running low on fuel here, but I'm going to guess you probably get close to like a 600-mile range in this thing, which is just absolutely insane. You also have the proven hybrid reliability. You hear stories, I read articles about like a Highlander hybrid going 1,000,000 miles in Florida. You got the Prius, is one of the most reliable cars in existence according to Consumer Reports, which is essentially the same hybrid powertrain as the Camry here. So Toyota really knows how to do a hybrid very, very well. So you gotta love that. Great safety as well. I would imagine this thing is also going to be an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, just like the last generation. I love that all-wheel drive is available as well, because not all sedans in this class actually can offer all-wheel drive, so that's a big plus there. I will say there was probably two things that, as far as constructive criticism goes on this new Camry. One, it's a very, very loose steering feel in that anything other than sport driving mode. Of course, you can fix that by putting it in sports driving mode, but having said that, it's probably the loosest steering feel that I've ever experienced. So I want to start with that. And then the other thing is the braking. It's a very soft braking feel. So even in just a commuter sedan like the Camry, I still think they should work on firming up that braking feel a little bit, just because it almost feels unnatural how soft of a braking feel that it actually is. So those are the two things I wasn't a fan of, but everything else, this car absolutely crushed it, and definitely actually one I would even consider, because Toyota absolutely crushed it in all of the areas that matter most. I'll just put it that way. But anyways, that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media at the bottom of the screen if you want to see what's coming next on the channel. Before it gets to YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what we do here on this channel after all. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.